I'm going to take you back to a day in 1995, December 5th. I hadn't even graduated college yet, but somehow I had found myself standing in the vestibule of a church with my arm looped around my father's. And I was wearing the dress of my dreams. It was this silken fairy tale with a train that stretched out 5 feet behind me. And it was all held together by this curious combination of tape, corseting, pantyhose, and a petticoat that would make pretty much any junction jealous. And for the first time in my life, I felt like a princess. The music started, and I started to see my bridesmaids peel down the aisle one by one. And I froze. I turned to my dad, and I said, "Dad, I'm not sure I want to do this." Have you ever been afraid of what people might think about a decision you have to make? A decision that could potentially be very unpopular. And unpopular, that's a pretty ominous word in and of itself. But is it the horrible thing that my formative years would have me to believe? Or is it the one thing that could bring me more joy than I could ever imagine? Well, today, I'm okay with unpopular, even though some people lump it together with another unword, which is unlikable. But I maintain that there is a difference. See, in my life and with the branding clients that I work with, being unpopular is about making decisions that honor the two most important audiences we'll ever have. The people who will love us for everything that we are and everything we're not, and ourselves. Now, the unlikable people, they seem to think that it's all about them, and they forget that those people are the reason that they get up every day and do what it is that they love. So that is why I am a stark, raving, maniacal fan of unpopular. Love me, hate me, just don't be indifferent. Because to me, indifference is like looking at this. It's confusing. You're not really sure what it is that you're seeing, and you'd kind of like to forget you'd seen it as quickly as possible. Thank you, Sarah Palin. See, we spend our lives trying to build ourselves into something that other people think that we should be, when in fact, we should be spending our time trying to actively polarize our audience. Give them tools to help them know whether or not they should love us, and give it early and give it often. Because that's when we stop wasting time, both ours and everyone else's. So how do we get there? How do we stop wasting time and start rethinking unpopular to make our lives and the lives of other people around us better? Well, for my life, it came down to two simple things. One, I had to stop apologizing. And two, I had to start being honest. Start with honesty. I wish I had more people in my life who would lie to me. Said no one ever. Yet, from a very early age, we're taught to turn down that honesty knob and turn up the one on polite. And it's no wonder that by the time we get to be adults, we can't honestly tell anyone around us who we are, what we love, and what we're feeling. Now, what I've been working on is turning honesty back up and kicking polite to the curb, which is where I think it belongs most of the time. But let's talk about and be honest about the act of being honest for a minute. Because the reality is that there is a pretty fine line between being honest and our desire and people thinking we are straight up batshit crazy. Case in point, earlier this year I was on a date with a man who asked me if children were something that I needed in my life in order to feel complete. And what I heard coming out of my mouth was, oh, you know what, I'm 39, I know the statistics, and you know what, if kids happen, they happen. When my inner monologue is saying, I am 39 years old and my ovaries are screaming like the silence of the lambs. And what I would appreciate is if you could get me knocked up by Christmas. So over here, we have a totally failed attempt at being honest. And over here, we have batshit crazy. But there's got to be something in the middle. And what I propose is what I call the blanket fort solution. See, when I was a kid, my brother and I were huge fans of building forts. I mean, the minute my mom left for work in the summer, we were downstairs deconstructing every piece of furniture that there was. I dumped out the linen closet, and in 30 minutes flat, we had a colossal structure complete with TV and ColecoVision console. But we didn't just let anybody into that fort. There was this kid down the street that every time he came over to our house, he either got us in trouble with our mom somehow or he broke something. So you know what? We stopped letting him into the fort. The blanket fort solution is about revisiting trust and what it means to us. And contrary to what Facebook would have us believe, trust, friendships, and relationships aren't something that can be awarded with the click of a button. They're something that has to be earned, nurtured, maintained, and over time. So why is it that as adults we just let any old person into our blanket fort? And it's because we're being polite. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm sick of being polite. And 39 years, the one thing I have figured out is that not everyone is meant to be my friend, employee, colleague, customer, or client. And in fact, most people who come through my life aren't meant to stay there for the long term. They're way stations. And they come through, they drop off what they're supposed to give me, and then they clean out, leave, and head to somebody else's life, which is exactly where they belong. And what I needed to do was take the time and focus on finding more of the right people to bring into my blanket fort. More people who would be just as honest with me as I had just committed to being with them. And I call them front stabbers. Because the people who will go out back at this building and be honest with me once I'm out of earshot, I got plenty of them. And what I needed was those people who would come to my face and tell me how they really felt. Back in 2004, I was dating this lovely man named Dominic. And we were getting ready to go out for the afternoon, and so I went into the bedroom, put on my favorite purple skirt, came out, grabbed my handbag, and I'm like, all right, let's go. He looks at me. Oh, you are not wearing that skirt. You need to just go put something else on. I love this skirt. Are you kidding me? And he says, honey, it makes your ass look like a rectangle. I was like, oh. I go into the bedroom and I'm looking in my mirror and I'm like, oh my God. My ass is a rectangle. And the funny thing is, Dominic never apologized to me for being honest. And I never felt like I had to ask him to. And that's because you like jalapeno poppers. And you like watching the Jersey Shore, which I can't comprehend and I'm probably going to judge you for. But we all like and dislike things, and it starts the day that we come off the boober bottle and we spit out our first teaspoon of cream peas onto a bib. We use the words, "Oh, I'm sorry," like it's some sort of linguistic band-aid that excuses the fact that we are human to other human beings. So tell me this. When are you going to admit that there is something glorious about being you? About the brand that you are building so that you don't have to wake up every morning and walk on eggshells, and you can look at something that you've built because you love it and it's honest and true to who you are. When I started being honest and I stopped apologizing for it, the universe had a pretty quirky way of letting me know that I was maybe on the right path. Last year was my 20th high school reunion, so I got on a plane and I headed back to Houston, Texas to celebrate with the Nimitz High School class in 1991. And I walked in the door, and one of the first people I saw was our class valedictorian, who waved, and so I went over and I said hello, and he hugged me, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "You know what? You sure do use a lot of F-bombs on Facebook. You should dial that back a little bit." And this is why I love being unpopular. Because the class valedictorian, not my target demographic. And I can guarantee you that when I sat down to build a brand that was honest to me about everything I wanted to achieve, I did not envision my brand being friends with him. But and you know what? We weren't even really friends in school, but here he was, standing in front of me, ready to tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing. And then it dawned on me. When I started viewing polarization as an asset instead of a liability, I got to wake up and look around my life every day and realize that the people who surrounded me were the right ones. That I'd built something that they loved, and I'd brought the right people inside my blanket for it. So I want you to think right now. Think about your life, maybe your business, and ask yourself, who doesn't belong here? And then I want you to grab polarization by the balls and kindly and unapologetically escort those people out the door. Now, in the spirit of polarization, and because I'm more than just a little bit snarky, I posted the valedictorian's comments on my Facebook page the next day, along with a little graphic. And since we're being honest, and we're not apologizing for it, here's where I think that we need more brands like Chick-fil-A in the marketplace. Now, it's not because I agree with what they stand for. It's because they're honest and unapologetic for it. And they've told me that if they are a hate-mongering, bigoted purveyor of funny-looking French fries, I can vote with my wallet. Because Chick-fil-A, they're not going to apologize. And me, I'm done apologizing for things that don't require the most sincere of all apologies. And so this brings us back around. This combination of becoming honest and a lack of apology, we bring them together and it gives us a crucial tool that brings this entire unpopular equation together. It tells us exactly who we want to have standing next to us when life's critical and unpopular decisions arise. So let's go back to that church in 1995 for just a second. Standing there next to my dad, Dad, I'm not sure I want to do this. And he says, Erica, you don't have to. So what I could do is I could disappoint the 60 people sitting in that church, that my pastor, the bridesmaids, and my mother who had paid $600 for this silken dream that was bound to my body. I could make the unpopular decision and disappoint all of those people. Or I could walk down that aisle and disappoint myself. So what did I choose? I just turned to my dad and I said, Dad, come on, the dress is paid for and the people are here. What am I supposed to do? Disappoint them? And he just turned to me and he took both of my hands and he simply said, yes. My name is Erica Napolitano, and I haven't always been, but I'm trying a little harder every day to be unpopular.
Amen.